Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever and whenever you're listening. I am Maggie,
And I'm Jacha.
and this is the little podcast that could, but right now we're giving the little podcast that couldn't.
It's giving a little podcast that had to go take a back seat. Little podcast that couldn't get to air. Hashtag little podcast that needs to give it up delicious. You look
The
like a
little
man.
podcast,
Like,
you look like a man. It's giving the little podcast that's trying and
okay.
failing.
Little podcast that needs to stop at the gas station.
Broke
Like,
down on the side of the road, honey. Well, I don't for everybody who's trying to figure out what we talking about. We have just been I know you guys have missed us. I know we lied and told y'all we was going to give y'all weekly episodes.
now we
But it
lied and
has
told y'all.
we
You ever
lied and
just
told
lie?
y'all. We done lied, honey. We didn't lie and told y'all we was giving y'all weekly episodes, and that is still our aim. But life has been whooping our butts. And then we just tried to hop in the studio. We had some technical difficulties, but now we're doing good and we're doing amazing. So we're going to continue to be the little podcast that could and did versus the little
And
podcast
did.
that shouldn't and hanging it up. So we are moving forward. But yeah, life has been whooping our butts, honey. So we're back officially.
We're back and better. Better
Better.
than we were 10 minutes ago, for
Better than we
sure.
were last week too. So we're better. We're better. We're
But
looking up. We're on the positive.
earlier
We're on
this
the
week,
upswing. Earlier this week.
it was giving Real
Uh,
Housewives reunion. It
you're
was
giving
giving baddies.
you're giving
Baddies.
Andy Cohen, and you were on the first couch on the left, and I was on the first couch on the right. That's what it was given.
Just
But how
swanging.
but how was your week, Jalen? How was since you've been gone? How have you been during the hiatus?
Since in the hiatus. In the off season. Um, it's been a, interesting week and a half for me. I feel like I've had work stress, I've had life stress, summer cold stress, hair stress,
Stress, stress.
stress, dental stress. I've just had stress. But um, what weeping endures for a night, but
But joy has
what is it?
come in the
Joy comes in the
morning.
morning. So
Period.
it's the
You better
morning.
bring a scripture.
It's the morning, child.
It's
Well,
literally the morning.
when we tried it, it was the morning. Now it's getting into the afternoon.
It's the afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon. This is now the afternoon.
like I said, we've been fighting for our life. What about yourself?
I've been in deep in the trenches. But now we are seeing a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Amen.
I right before this we started filming, I met with a nanny.
Hmm.
So that has been fun in my journey of being a mother and a working mother. I have now decided that I need to take it a step above family helping me out with my kid and take it a little bit further and go ahead and get some professional help.
You see, you got
So
money. I see them earrings.
it's Louis V. I just want to let
So I
everybody
see.
know.
So I see you have money.
It's Louis V. And I have the Gucci flips on, but you can't see the Gucci flips. You see what I'm saying? But yes, so in terms of that, I've had to get some professional help. So we just did a meeting with her at Starbucks with the baby just to see how the
Hmm.
energy was. And she was really great. Guess what her name is?
Jalen.
Jalen.
Is it really?
Yes. And
I swear.
guess what her sign is?
She's a Sag?
She's a Sagittarius named Jalen.
It's there's just something about us. We're just so attractive, and I'm sure that she is just such a
She
genius.
gave. She
I'm
gave.
sure
She
she gave what she
gave.
needed to give.
She
Because
did.
we're
She gave.
now what I will tell you about, well, let me not talk about your nanny on this podcast. I'm like, no, we do play. Us Jalen's that are Sagittariuses, like we present well. Once we get comfortable, child, your child gonna be in there eating Cheeto puffs. Like having a good little time. Like, girl, we all right. Like we just eat some
We
Cheeto puffs.
straight. We eat Cheeto.
Like,
I feel that. She was giving me good energy, great conversation. I was like, oh my God. And I literally told her, I was like, you remind me of my friend Jalen. And then I said, oh my God, your name is Jalen. I said, what's your sign? She was like, I'm a Sag. I was like, oh my God, Jalen's a
that's
Sag.
crazy.
Yes, her birthday is
That's so
December
funny.
18th. Jalen.
Okay, swear.
So we not gonna know who I'm talking about. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
Jalen is getting on my nerves, but
And
you know who I'm talking about.
but them December Sages are a little different than like your November ones. Us November ones, I feel like people think we're more intense. I think we are a little bit more intense because that Scorpio energy is like
Hmm.
coming from us, but I feel like we actually make a little bit more sense. Them
That's to be
December
fair.
ones be a
A little bit
little,
more emotional.
yeah, like we're a little bit more emotional. I feel like they're a little bit like less emotional, but a little bit more chaotic. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you didn't call me back. I hate everything. I'm blowing up your house." It's like, whoa, calm down.
Well, luckily, I'm her employer, so
Yeah, so she'll
you're
treat you
never
right
gonna do that to me.
because that they got that Capricorn energy, which makes
They're
them all
making
about
that
that
moolah.
money. Like,
No, because from what I'm paying her, I'm like, I should have nannied. Why the hell did I not nanny when I was going through school? Because she's going to law school. So I'm like, why wasn't I
mm,
nannying? And I
a
said,
lot of
you
people.
like to argue. You're a Sag and you're going to law school. She
A
said,
ghost
absolutely.
named Jalen. Of course, she does like to argue.
So
Of
we feel
course.
like in a past life, you probably should have went to law school, Jalen.
I sometimes feel like I still should go to law school because I think I
You
would be a great lawyer,
never too
actually.
late.
The thing is, I will never go to anyone's school unless someone is paying for it fully. Also,
Mm.
too, some of the people be going to law school. I'm like, I'm not getting an online law degree. Like, y'all be giving, like, we're going to law school. Where? Where?
DeVry.
That matters. That actually does matter. Like, are you trying to be like, what's the point of going getting $100,000 in debt just so you can make 170,000 a year? Girl, you could have just worked your way up like everybody
Up
else.
to in the corporate
Like, unless you're
space.
gonna be like a real lawyer, I'm talking representing OJ Simpson. What are you doing?
That's fair. I think if I was a lawyer, I think I would. Here's the thing: the Sag rising in me wants me to go to law school and be a lawyer. I feel like the Libra in me, if I was actually a lawyer, I feel like I don't. I'd be like, I don't care about this. Like, I really am not about to argue with you. Like after a while, like my
Yeah,
inclination is to argue, but then after a while, I'm like, this is work. If I had to go to work and argue a point all day, I think I would be like, no,
okay.
because the Libra in me is like, I don't dream of work. You know what I'm saying? So imagine going to work and having to fight. I
Yeah.
just want to go to work, do the reports, do the presentations, and go home.
I would continue this conversation, but I feel like we're getting into petty territory because I know Libra lawyers. So let's move to our first topic.
All right, but here's the thing: are they good at their job? I don't think so.
Like I said,
Probably
let's
not.
move to the first topic.
Okay, so for the first topic, we have Tyla, right? So we had this Breakfast Club interview with Tyla, and Tyla was on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, and Charlemagne specifically asked her about this specific question that always plagues my girl Tyla, which is the nuances between being colored and being considered black in South America. I mean, America, child, South Africa. And
Mhm.
so, in that instance, she kind of gave a really awkward kind of turn and look to her um, team.
Team.
And the team let them know she will not be answering that question. And it got very awkward, right? And she received some backlash for her reaction, for her team's kind of reaction to her not answering the question, and it really kind of continued the same negative backlash that she always gets when she either answers a question or doesn't, right? And so
Mhm.
I wanted to hear kind of what your thoughts are. I know there are nuances between being colored and being black in South Africa, right? But outside
Mhm.
of the nuance that exists, right? What are your thoughts?
So I look at the situation from like two different angles. There's obviously like the black colored conversation, which I mean, what they got going on in South Africa is a lot different than like what we have going on here in America. Like apartheid happened in like the 90s. Like that's
Hmm.
still relatively recent, you
Hmm.
know. So granted, racism exists and like segregation is still not that far removed, but they just started having freedom for real in the 90s. Like, so I feel like that's a different conversation. So I understand that like her the way that she looks at race is different. Like genuinely, like it's a different experience. I think, girl, you in America, you are on a world stage essentially, like saying colored. is not the best thing for you to be representing yourself as when essentially your base demographic is going to be Black Americans. Like if you want to be successful on a grand stage, like you're going to have to appeal to Black Americans. So you probably should have just avoided that conversation and said, I'm Black or I'm African and she's mixed with something. She ain't just all Black.
She's not.
Um, and so you could have just said that and like made the conversation less messy, I guess.
Mhm.
As far as the Charlemagne aspect of it, I think sometimes like, and maybe this is a controversial take because I saw people on the internet really defensive of like her and people asking her this question repetitively, I guess, and like Charlemagne, and I think people just have a bias against the Breakfast Club. It's not my favorite program, but at the same time too, like it's a radio show. They're going to ask
Yeah.
her the interesting questions. I mean, she's a very new celebrity. I'm trying to figure out how many interviews has she gone to
Mhm.
in general or even been booked to in general.
Mhm.
Like if you see Tyla, that's really the most interesting aspect beyond the water song to ask her about. So it's like it's going to be asked. I think it's like to me it's lame when like the girls wear bras and mini skirts and shake their butts on the stage and do all these like have suggestive lyrics and say, you know, I'm a woman who is presenting as very independent and strong and I'm showing girls that you don't have to like live this life of putting yourself down for your sexuality, but you can't even speak to your previous statements. You got to turn to your team. So are you talking? So what are we talking about? I thought you were an independent grown woman, but you can't even answer questions that you said. Like, ain't nobody say, like, ain't nobody lying on you. You said it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know. Is that controversial? That's my take. That's my take.
I I don't think that the take is fully controversial. I do believe that I can agree with you in the sense that I do believe that you were a South African artist, right? And
Mm-hmm.
since you were trying to go more mainstream, which is on the global platform, which is very United States heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your team should have already cultivated a solid enough answer for you to answer that question in a way where you had your talking points and
That's
it was
true.
going to be able to be well received. I do believe that, like, in that instance, that should already have been done. So you should be able to answer that question quickly with your talking points. Your script is memorized, and you should be able to say, "Hey, so this is the history, like a brief snippet with the history of South
Mm-hmm.
Africa, a brief snippet of what colored is considered in South Africa, the history
Shout out
by
to
why it's
Nelson Mandela.
important." Right, the history of why it's important, and then you should have immediately went into, but I do consider myself a Black woman. Once I leave South Africa, I
Mm-hmm.
do consider myself a Black woman on the global front, right? But for you
Mm-hmm.
to just kind of pretend like everybody was supposed to know that history and then get confused when people are interpreting it in a different way and then being like, hey, you're ignorant for not knowing the history. It's like, well, you're an artist on the main stage now. Educate
Mm-hmm.
your audience on why that history is important and what it's about, right? Like, as somebody who
And what
is,
it means for you.
what it means for you, as somebody who is African as well, right? I understand that there's a lot of things that, like, a Black American would not understand about my culture,
Mm-hmm.
but it is my job to say, like, hey, this is what the nuances exist there, and then that's my job, right? So your team should have done that for you, right? Your team should have said, hey, we've created 3 bullet points, boom, and you say
Right.
this, and she could have just said it and it could have been done with. I think until she really addresses that question in a real way, she's always going to get a really weird backlash behind it, especially because you understand the negative connotation that colored has in the United States, but
Mm-hmm.
you're catering to a United States audience. You do have to clear that up of like, hey, this is why, this is this. I don't love when people be like, oh, Americans are ignorant. It's like, no, you need to clarify to some degree. You're not in South Africa right now going to a South African audience. I understand why she does not want to call herself Black, and she wants to call herself colored because, yeah, if she went back to South Africa, they'd be like, she's not considered Black
No.
to us. So I get why she don't want to rep the wrong set. I understand that, right? But it's
Okay.
also like you can't go to a whole nother hood and then be like, well, I'm considered, no, because at a certain point you have to clarify. So I
They
get it.
not like us. They not
They're
like
not like
us.
us. If you go into the hood, like, you know what I'm saying? You go into a different hood, girl, you gonna have to, hey, in my hood, I'm considered this, but in this hood, I'm considered this. Like, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
this is what's going on in my hood, though, just so you know. So I understand why Black people who are not familiar with South Africa are having an issue with it. And I just feel like her
Mhm.
team could really back her. And then I didn't love to look back to the team.
Mhm. I
And
think
then the
that's
team's like,
lame.
I thought that was
I just think
kind
it's
of,
lame. Like, how
she
old
was
is
like,
Tyla? She's not like a
she's not a
teenager, is
teen.
she?
She's in her, I think she's in her early 20s.
Yeah, I'm like,
I think she might be
she's
like
a
23,
grown up.
24. Yeah, she's a grown up enough to
Yeah.
say, hey, what are you considered? And be able to say, hey, I'm considered this. It goes back to even like, I have a friend who is from London and she's Black and she's explained like
Mhm.
race is very different in
Mhm.
London with Black people, right? Like you're kind of considered your ethnicity first, then you're like kind of you're from London. So typically if you're like a Nigerian from London, you're considered a Nigerian from London who is Black. And Black is very much on the bottom of the experience.
Interesting.
So in my head, I've thought about that. Like, okay, so when she's come to the United States,
Mhm.
people want her to rep Black first, and then Nigerian second, and then London at the very bottom. And she's like, well, that's not how it works when I'm over there. So, like, I'm coming here and it's kind of a culture shock. And I understand that. But it's like, eventually she did understand, like, hey, I'm here. And it's my job to kind of be able to educate people
Mhm.
on why that nuance exists. So I don't know. I feel like her team played in her
I'm a
face.
I'm gonna take it a step further. Do you think that because I haven't like we have Tim's, and there's a couple
Love her.
other artists who are like from Africa that are really popular right now, but I don't know if any of them are from South Africa.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, I think when you look at Tyla, she looks like she's a very pretty girl, like stunning. And then she's
Gorgeous
also
gowns.
gorgeous gown. She's also light skinned. Do you
Hmm.
think her? Because I'm like, no one's asking like, because I guess
Tim's
you
if
can't
she's
compare it to like
considered
a
Black.
yeah. Because I'm like Tim.
Hmm.
No one's asking Tim's that, you know. But with like Tyler, is it because you think the conversation gets people take it a little bit more personal? Not really because of like the South Africa, but just more so because she looks mixed.
Racially
So it's like,
ambiguous.
what do you claim like personally? Like, and I think people just want her to say like I'm Black or I'm whatever she's mixed with. I don't know what it is, but um,
And she's like, I'm
you know,
colored.
yeah. And she's like, I'm because I'm like, I don't know. Personally, I guess I'm just too American now. Here's a real controversial take. Really waking up out your bed every day and be like, I'm a colored man is crazy. Like I'm colored. Like, what is that? I don't know.
It's hard because it's like colored is
Mm,
a weird. I agree. I
like
get what you're saying.
I feel like that's like kind of how like technically like on paper it's like yeah we're African American, but I don't wake up in the morning thinking I'm African American. I'm like I'm Black.
I'm Black. Yeah,
It's
she's.
like
I agree with you. I
I'm
do think it.
colored.
I'm. I
It's
do
like
think it's
ooh.
interesting because it's like you're not really colored is a word that like encompasses all colors. So that is also really interesting that that would be something that you represent is like I'm colored because it's like that could be in America if you're considered like I
And
don't
be
want to say if you're
passionate
considered
about it
and be
because
passionate about it.
she's very much doubled down to like no I'm not Black, I'm colored.
Yeah, and I just also think in like you're going to a different market. Like you know what we mean. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
it's
I
like
also feel like that's weird to make the designation if you know
because
what we're talking about. You know what I
it's also
mean?
kind of like to me like you want us to be educated, so why can't you? Like,
That's
I'm not
fair.
trying to sell nothing to you, Tyler. You trying to sell something to me because let's also break it down. Like, if you can make it big in America, you'll be set.
Yeah,
You'll be
fair,
set.
fair.
So it's
And she's set. She's getting pretty set.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can make it in this market, you can make it anywhere.
You can make it anywhere, and you
Like,
probably have made it. If you make it in this market, you've made it. Period.
right, you've made it.
Yeah.
Just
Hmm.
you got a Grammy. She's won a Grammy for
Yeah.
that water song.
I love
So
that
it's
song
like
though. Tyler,
she's
I love
cute. I
that.
like
I
her. I
love your
think
little music, girl.
I think out of all the new girls, like especially the Black ones,
Hmm.
she's eaten the most. I think this isn't really like the best promo for her, but I think like overarchingly, she's killing the set. Like
She is. She's
for
doing
the
her
new young
thing.
girls.
I
Like,
love her. I really do like her. So like this is no hate to Tyler. I just feel like when it comes down to it, I think because you were specifically asking like, do you feel like it's just because she's racially ambiguous? I think the issue with the situation, how it all came to be,
mhm,
is like her team never prepped her on how to answer that question the first time she answered it. And
right.
so ever since then, every interviewer knows that like it's going to go viral if you ask her about it. And so instead of her team saying like, "Hey, we've noticed that like this is a question
Mhm.
that is constantly being brought up to you and it's never receiving the right sort of like attention every time you answer it." Instead of saying that, she's kind of like, well, we're not going to answer it at all. That's not really how you do that. Like, you should probably figure out a way to answer the question in a way that is easily palatable to all audiences. And to me, I feel like your team sucks. If that's the case, and that simple of a
Mhm.
question cannot be answered correctly, even with the Charlemagne interview, he had ended up doing an additional interview saying, like, they
Right.
asked him not to ask about a bunch of random stuff. And
They
he's
said
like,
not
that's
Chris
not how
Brown
this
either,
works.
right?
Yeah, why she wasn't
Yeah.
touring with Chris Brown, the Kai Cenat thing, how she friends on Kai
Mhm.
Cenat, and all of that stuff is really funny and interesting stuff. Like you need to prep your artist for how to interview, how to answer interview questions.
Yeah.
Period. You can't just avoid anything, every question, and then turn around and be like, "But we want to do interviews." That's not how it works.
Also,
You
too,
need to do interview prep.
yeah, and I agree because also too, it's like one in today's generation, like most, like the new young starlets, they get their fame from really being personable and being more authentic. Like that
Influencers.
whole, yeah, like they kind of are like half artist, half influencer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that whole like Beyonce method of becoming
No
a
questions,
star
no
is
free
not,
press.
yeah, is not really gonna do it all the way anymore. Um, and to me, it's like this is your time to show like who you
You
actually are,
are.
because that's really
Mm-hmm.
who what people want to see. Like, how would she handle that situation? Even if you got spicy with Charlamagne, was like, didn't we tell you not to ask me that?
Yeah,
That would have been more interesting than you turning your
and
head like,
I would have
because
flipped
like
it on
honestly
him.
too, you're not an A-list celebrity. Like if it's like Rihanna, Beyonce, there's certain things where it's like clearly they're not going to give it to Charlamagne.
Mhm. They wouldn't
They're
be
not
on the
gonna
they
they
wouldn't even
would
be on
never
the
be on
interview.
the Breakfast Club. Like if they're gonna give someone a serious conversation, it's gonna be someone on Good Morning
Barbara
America.
Walters,
It's
rest her
gonna be
soul.
yeah, it's gonna be
Gayle
Diane
King.
Sawyer. It's gonna be Gail King. It's gonna be Oprah Winfrey if we're keeping it a band.
Oprah's coming
Like
out of retirement, rise from the
like for
dead.
that, so you're not an A-list celebrity. Answer the question. Like,
Answer the question. And then on top of that, I think for me, the other thing about the whole thing is like the way I would have answered it would have been like, what do you think color means, Charmaine? You tell
yeah.
me the history since you know everything. Since you know
I
the
would have
history.
been like, are you really confused? Like, are you actually
It
confused?
seems like you didn't prep for this interview because I feel like I've
Like,
already told that in the past and I've already explained the history of Africa. Do you know it? Do you know
like
the
my
history of South
ancestry's
Africa?
on Google. So, what are you
Do you
actually
know?
asking me?
Do
Like,
you know?
and
Where
then
was
he would have
your man?
laughed. He would have laughed because that would have been funny. He would have been
And he would have
expected. They
moved
would have
on.
moved on.
And
Like,
so yeah, you have to prep your people. And so I think it all boils down to Tyla having a team that was not prepared for her to hit the global stage.
mhm.
She needs to fire her publicist and find another publicist that's going to be able to really create messaging for her in order for her to move forward and to not have so much controversies around answering very simple questions. That's my opinion.
Also, too, she was sitting up there turning her head, showing that braid that she had. She had her little cornrow braids. Is that a colored hairstyle or a black hairstyle? Because what does colored hair look like? I don't know. It's giving black to me.
It's
Like,
giving black to me. But that's like how what was happening with the debate, and they were like, there's black jobs.
yes,
And they're like, I
like
didn't know there was black jobs.
that's black hairstyle. I'll tell you. I don't know if it's colored, but it's surely black. Like,
It's black. And I just, she is a bad team. And so speaking of bad teams, who else do we know that has like a bad team? That's like a celebrity where you're like, girl, just fire your manager.
all of the new girls have bad teams. I feel like Chloe, Halle, they have
I
bad
do think
teams.
Chloe has a bad team. I think
Halle
Hallie has an
too.
okay team. I think she's an okay team.
I think Halle has talent, so she can book a job. Like she's like a Kiki Palmer. She can book a job.
Kiki stay employed Palmer.
But when you be getting like Hallie's like internet persona, like whenever Hallie starts interacting, it gets messy.
She doesn't like her fans.
She doesn't like her fans. She doesn't like being
She doesn't really
famous
wanna be famous. Yeah, she wants to be a mother with her,
with her
boyfriend.
baby. That she doesn't show the baby's face. It's like again, you're not an A-list, so like your baby will be fine.
My
Like
thing is, the issue that I have with her not showing her baby's face is, like, she will very much like, the baby's whole face is in the camera, and they'll just blur out the
this,
nose,
it
the eyes, and it's like, didn't
it
don't
gets
post the
silly.
picture. Don't post the picture. Don't post the picture. Somebody had said that the other day. They were like, "Y'all be sitting here blurring y'all man faces, and nobody asked you to post a pic. We didn't even know where you was at. We didn't know what you was
You
doing.
didn't even you didn't even share the pregnancy with us. Like, girl, you really could have kept it going. You could have just kept the baby in your house. Like, you didn't
We
have to
didn't
ever tell us.
right." And you
And
could like the
it was
fact that you
already a
would sit.
mess. We were already convinced you were just gaslighting us. Like, you could
I've
just
never felt
continue
so
to
gaslit.
gaslight us. Like,
The fact that you would sit here and post a baby, and you could just easily say, "Hey, can you hold my baby real quick?" and take a picture.
and take a picture. Like, you want to be
What's the
seen as a
need?
working mother. Show us the baby.
Show, and then, or if you're not going to show us the baby, don't blur his face. Like, don't have a head-on full picture with the baby and then blur the face out. Then just put the baby behind. Just show us the back of the baby head. Well, this
Like,
is
it's just
getting silly.
like like Michael Jackson's kids used to wear the mask. It's like, you're not Michael Jackson.
But
Like
it's Michael
Rihanna
Jackson's
showing her kids
kids.
every 5 seconds she can. I'm like, you're not Rihanna. You're not Beyonce. Beyonce show her kids. I'm like, who,
Who are
be for
you?
real. So her
Who are
team don't
you?
make no sense because they're not having real conversations with her. Like, let's use our brains, use our noggins. Um,
What's not
Chloe's
clicking?
team, they must have the same team
I
because
think that they have two bad different teams because I feel like Chloe's team is just like,
Chloe just can't book a
girl,
job.
because my issue with Chloe is just like, what was the vision? Because you had it. You had it. There was a period of time where Chloe was off to be the next pop, like the
Mm,
next R&B pop star. With Have
hmm.
Mercy, when that came out, she had done, she can actually perform, she can dance. It was giving very
She can
much like,
sing.
okay, she's gonna soar. And then it was
Hmm.
just that cringy, sexy, whoever created a vision board for how they were gonna sell her
I would love
just
to see the
put all the
Pinterest.
wrong things on there, because the fact that it was such a cringy, sexy cosplay of like a sexy 2000s artist is insane. She was giving Christina Aguilera dirty with
I'm screaming.
nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. I was like, girl, you don't even
Without
look
the like
comfortable.
the realness of it too, because it's also like y'all be trying to be these like hot pocket ladies, but not even that sentence. Y'all be trying to be Cardi B and then carry yourself like you're this like wholesome
A
woman.
Disney princess.
And it's like, well, which are you? That's
Which
why
are
it's
you?
confusing. Like if you're
It's
gonna
very confusing.
be skanky all the time. Like,
And gives that energy. It's like she was giving like, okay, I have on a little teeny weeny outfit, but I want to pull it down like this. It's like, girl, well then
yeah.
don't wear that. You know what I'm saying? You don't
So
look comfortable in your outfits. You don't look comfortable in your music videos. You don't look comfortable anywhere. And it was just cringy. You were cursing all extra hard in
all
all of
the
your songs.
time
And it's like some songs don't need an F bomb. We don't need
at
to, like, if
all.
this is a beautiful song, just make it a beautiful song. She
And I
could
feel
have
like,
been Coco Jones. She could have been Coco
yeah.
Jones, and she took it and went somewhere completely different. And what's crazy is y'all are managed by Beyonce's team.
And I think that's actually the problem with them is because I think because they are managed by Beyonce or they have that Beyonce stamp of approval, they think that they can just do anything. And it's like,
Do anything.
no, Beyonce worked for her, like, regard. The way that people view her and regard her is like she's worked very hard to earn that. You haven't done the work, but you're thinking you should just be given it because you have her stamp of approval. And then also, if we're comparing what Beyonce was doing when she was 24, 25, that's probably like B Day.
Yes,
Please. You're
please.
giving kids bops.
Some of her best work.
You're giving sexy kids bop. Don't nobody want to hear that. Like,
Don't nobody want to hear that. And I was just kind of like, that really fell flat because Jalen and I had a lot of heated discussions about Chloe, and I really bet my money that that girl was gonna go somewhere, and
and I
baby
knew
fell
better.
flat. I was
I
like,
knew
oh,
better.
Ever since then, I just shut my ass up about any of these little girls because I said the way that I wrote for Chloe just for her to embarrass me,
Is
never happening
crazy.
again. Never
Embar
happening again.
But you know what? So I said all the like young. I don't know if like they know how to currently market a young black celebrity because I'm like Normani.
My
What's
poor
that?
baby. My
What's that?
poor,
She just
poor
had an album come
baby.
out. What is that?
And the issue that
Like
I have with Normani is I don't know if it's the budget. Like I don't know if they just don't have the budget for because every time she drops a single, it's immediately like on
talked
the
about,
charts.
people like
And
it. Yeah,
the video is amazing, the dance moves are amazing, and then all of a sudden
she
she'll
disappears.
disappear. And it's like, did you just only have the budget for the music video?
She literally only had the budget for the music video.
And then
She
she
didn't
goes,
have
okay,
a
well, I need
budget for a
7 to
plane
8 to
ticket
9. Right. She
to
needs 7
interview.
to 8. She
She
needs
didn't
7
have
to
the
8 to
budget.
9 more months for that EP to drop. And it's like, girl,
She
stop
needs to be
giving us.
reimbursed.
Right. She's waiting for the checks to clear and then get her money back and then come back and do something. I'm like, girl, we really enjoyed Motivation was amazing. She had that other song with where she was performing with
Wild
Tiana
thoughts or
Taylor,
whatever. It's wild
Wild
something.
Wild Side.
Yeah. I like
Or
that one a lot.
that
That
was
was a
a
good song.
hit. And so she
Yeah.
should have dropped one more single, two more music videos, and then dropped her album. And she was like, well, all I got money for was that one Wild Side video. Sorry.
All
And
I
just
got money
left.
for.
I
And
just
disappear.
Normani is lost
Yeah,
talent.
and I
I
feel
really feel bad for
bad.
her.
I feel bad because it's just kind of like you've kind of missed your like opening, and now
Mhm.
you're a little just like it's tired. It's like
You only get 2 chances to be that girl. After that, it's like, girl, okay,
like
cute.
you may
She would
have
have
the
to come out
eye,
with the song of the summer.
yeah, and she's not gonna
And
do it.
Sabrina Carpenter already did that, honey. Period.
You letting the white girls, and it's crazy because the white girls are kind of.
They're coming back. It's a pop girl summer, and I'm excited about it. As somebody who's a pop girly myself, honey, even Katy Perry's back, honey.
No, Katie too damn old to be back, but
Katy is back, honey. I like me some Katy.
she's trying to be back, Miss Katie.
She-
But you know what? Shout out to Katy Perry because yesterday on my random phone playlist, "Thinking of You" by Katy Perry.
Gorgeous,
I need y'all to
gorgeous,
go play that. Now that
gorgeous.
is a hit. Like you had to be up before school watching VH1 Top 20 Countdown to catch it because that was
And
like
that
a
and that that sad ass
pre
music video will be
superstar,
playing.
pre superstar Katy Perry song. But if you know that one, that's a
That
hit.
sad ass music video will be playing, and you're putting on your capris to get ready
Like,
to go to get
making sure
ready to
you
go to
have your
the eighth
Capri
grade.
Sun in your lunchbox. Let me tell you, thinking of you. Y'all go play "Thinking of
Thinking
You."
of you, but
That's
don't
the
do
name of the
because don't
episode.
but don't
"Thinking
do
of You."
even California girls like what that was
It
iconic.
was a
That was
time.
before its time.
It
It
was a
was a
time.
time. Music used to be a time to
The
be
kids ain't doing
had.
it like that no more. Because I'm
I'm not
like,
saying
these
the girls
people
aren't
were
doing their thing.
like in their 20s doing that. It's kind of like looking back, I'm like, I think because I wasn't those ages, I was like, oh, they're just grown as fuck. I'm like, these bitches were like 25 doing like
24, 25. We're
iconic
older than
shit.
them now. Like
Like,
working for their check, baby.
like
Working, touring, publicists, outfits. They weren't eating for days so they can fit in
they
them little funny ass
little crop
outfits.
tops, them little
They
fruit outfits.
American flag unitard with a little frilly bottom. Like
They
just
were
silly,
skipping dinner. They
and
were
was looking
skipping
amazing.
dinner.
That was back in the day when your pop star had the same, literally look like a cartoon because they would literally look the same every single time you saw them, just a different outfit. So if their hair
Have
was
you
like this, their hair was like this for years.
have you ever seen that clip? It's like a real CNN clip, and they're interviewing Britney Spears. Underneath it, it says Britney Spears, cartoon character. It's like a real interview of her. It's like cartoon.
Because they were like cartoons. Like your pop stars back in the day used to, if their hair was a short black bob, it was a short black bob for 4 years.
Or
They were like, I'm committed to this look. It's
they
curated.
would be consistent. They would be very consistent. Nowadays, the girls have new hairstyles every other day, but back
We
then they would wear the same. I remember. We're gonna have to end this topic because we could probably go on forever. But I remember when Lady Gaga first came out, she wore the same outfit and wig for like a year straight.
a
Every
year
time I see her, I'd be
straight.
like, I used to think they didn't give this white girl no budget because every time I see her, she got the same outfit
Do you
on.
remember when Lady Gaga used to do the little blue star?
Yes,
around her
that
eyes.
that's what I'm talking about. When she would have the blue star in her
Yes.
little crystal outfit, and that's all she used to. Every time I saw her, I was like, they didn't give this white girl no
No
budget.
budget. But the thing about it is it's
When
great
them
because when
songs
you
started
think of
slapping, she started to get a budget.
but
But
when you think
before
about
that,
Lady Gaga, you think about my girl with the star. When you
with
think
the
about
blue,
Kesha, they would literally have an approved set of colors. They
they
can
didn't
only wear
wash.
these 5 colors,
They
bro.
didn't wash Kesha's hair for like the first year she was out.
And they
Every
said
time you
that's your
saw her,
look.
that's your look. You can't don't don't you wash it. I'm
The
like,
pop girls back in the day had a curated team that literally was like, if you want to change your outfit, it needs to go through approvals. We're not
yeah.
just playing around. You have to look a particular way. You can't gain half an inch. Nowadays, these pop girls be big, skinny, middle, medium, all day. Back in the
No,
day,
but
you had a small waist, and that waist stayed small your whole career.
no, but I remember even like watching like an interview, and that's very true. I remember watching this like Rihanna interview, and she was basically saying how like when she transitioned from like being like having the long brown hair to like the short black bob, she was like, we did it, and like all these record executives came to my hotel room like freaking out. Like they were like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like
You
you
were
can't do
way
that.
more curated
Like
back in the day. Now it's like these celebrities, it's like they have red hair, they have purple hair, they have green hair, and they have this. The only girl who keeps it very similar, and she's not a pop girly, but the only girl who keeps it very similar is Megan Thee Stallion in her wrestling outfits. She's always going to
she
give you a wrestling outfit.
or that Afro puff. She's gonna give you a wrestling
Hmm.
outfit, Afro puff, or just some nice
She's going
weave.
to give you assless chaps and like a shirt that's tied up in the front. It don't matter where
But I
she's
think
coming
Megan
from.
has a pretty decent team, actually. I think she
I
has
think she has
actually
a
like
good
a good
team. I
team
do. I think
compared to a lot of these people.
she's been through so much and she still remains relevant, which means her team is working overtime to make sure
Yeah.
that because she could have fallen off several times and she's still very much killing it.
Because you know who used to really have a good team, and nowadays I'm like, I don't know, Cardi. I'd be
And the
like,
reason why Cardi has a bad team now is because nobody would let her go on her old team. Like, let's say, like 3 years ago, wouldn't have let her be on live that hard. It wouldn't be possible.
mm,
Her old team would have taken her phone. There's no way she would have been
I'm
on live
screaming.
that hard.
Now
The
she
way
had a
that she's
bad
on
run.
live right now, the old team would have locked her out of her Instagram for sure. There's no way. She was really like she was up there. She was up there. I think Cardi had a baby, and that's the thing. I think Cardi had a baby, and Offset stressed her out too much for her to really be
Hmm.
serious about her career. I feel like if she were to break up with Offset and they genuinely like get a divorce, move out of the house, I think Cardi B, you would see a rebirth of Cardi B and she would be back killing it and doing everything that she needs to do. But right now it's kind of like, eh.
And it's probably, speaking of our next topic, it's probably because he pay all the bills and she don't have to work.
I think that's
So she's
fair.
also like, I don't have to do nothing for real, even though he stresses me out. It's like I don't need to work. He gonna pay
Yes.
for it.
Well, speaking of that, so Jada Wada, which is kind of like, who cares? But Jada Wada did a podcast recently, and she's been getting ate up on Twitter all week because she was talking about. She was asked the question of would she ever date a man who made less money than her? And she specifically said no. And she said her reasoning was because when she meets men who make less money, or she's known people who have dated men who made less money than them, and in those instances, those men have tried to like dog them out and make them feel as though they are less than so that
Hmm.
it's an ego play, right? Like they know they make
Hmm.
less money and they don't want the girl to feel like she's quote unquote that girl. Now, was that the best answer in terms of like being able to explain what you're saying? Probably not, but it's Jada Waiter, so we manage our expectations. But what are your thoughts on the interview or just that specific thought of like dating a man who makes less money than you? What are your thoughts? And this is giving very much Black People Podcast tease, but we're interested in discussing the thing.
Um, Speaking of Jada Waiter, I just kind of am like, well, how do you make money? Like, how does that work for you in the long term?
She's sponsored. Hashtag Nova Partner.
How is that going? What's the
Don't do that
career
because she make more money than
trajectory?
us,
I
child.
mean, yeah, she makes more money than us, but I'm like, I mean, for me at least, I don't know about you, Maggie, but well, I do know about you, but I'm saying like, I don't have a vagina. So me and her, we're her market. I will never be in her market. Her market is something different. What's on her resume is something different.
It's not what's on my
Um,
resume, honey.
um,
I'm not qualified.
so I'm like, our resumes look completely different. But what I will say is, I mean, I definitely think that I think you can be in relationship with like a woman can be in a relationship with a man that makes less money than her and be perfectly fine. I do think they should be somewhat equally yoked. Like I do think like if you're with someone, they should be able y'all should be able to grow together. And like if he makes more than you makes less than you, I don't think that's a issue. I just think that like y'all should be growing and like at the same pace. Like, and I think that's fine. I don't think that's an issue. I don't think it's as shallow as like she made it. I think
Hmm.
the sector of men that she talks to is just probably a different sector of like people. Like she's not living in the real world. She's
Hmm.
living in Instagram, sugar daddy, club
Hmm.
world. And I just think
Hmm.
that's a different energy. In that world, yes, the man should make more than you because why are you here if you don't have it to give? You shouldn't even be in that area of life. You should be focused on growing your wallet. So I think her experience is probably just different. I don't know Miss Girl. Like I said, I don't know what does her check say Jada Waiter?
Yes, of course, Jada Wade
Like,
Johnson. And then on top of that, I also
like
think that she's just famous for being somebody's girlfriend and just being cute, I
yeah.
guess. She's giving very much influencer. I agree with what you're saying in terms of like it's a different market. And I think the issue that I have with like kind of the media right now is that most people that exist in this world are not influencers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or are not like celebrities, right? So I understand why she is personally saying and her logic behind why she would not date somebody who made less money than her. But I also do believe that like she's not an average person.
Right.
She is very much someone who is interested in transactional relationships because essentially that's what you're bringing to the table when you're in the entertainment
That's
industry.
her
It is
brand.
it's her brand. And when you're in the entertainment industry, it's hard to say, like, oh, I would date somebody. Because even when she's like, oh, the guy will make her feel less than, it's like, okay, well, essentially, you're somebody who's putting yourself out there in that way, right? Like, you have to have the hottest clothes, the hottest outfits, the hottest shoes. Like, you have to be very curated aesthetically. And so I can see if you were dating somebody, if you were like a influencer like that and you're dating somebody who is an accountant, right? I can
Mm-hmm.
see how they could think you doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not
Mm-hmm.
their world. They don't exist in that world, right? And I can also see how if
Mm-hmm.
you're dating somebody who makes less than you, but they haven't came up yet, how they can be jealous of what you have because technically they want to do the same exact thing, right? Do
Right.
but I do think that the messaging is a bit dangerous for regular women, right? So essentially,
Mm-hmm.
especially young women who follow her, because if you're not trying to be an influencer and you're trying to work in corporate America, or you're trying to go be a lawyer, or you're trying to go be, you know what I'm saying, a sports therapist or something that is a very normal job, right? Where you're making middle class amount of income, it is kind of crazy to be like, I would never date anybody who makes less than me. Cause like, who are you dating, sis? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, who would
Who are
you
you
meet?
dating?
Who would you meet?
And and then too, it's like to me, it's like it's also kind of like silly overall because it's like, realistically, your audience, even if they want to live the Jada Wada lifestyle, most of them aren't. They never
Going to,
are.
yeah. Hmm.
And realistically, you don't want them to because they will be your competition. Like
Right.
they
And
be
then you would
stealing
be
checks from
regular.
you.
Yeah.
So I don't even like you're not giving them no free game for real, for real. Like you very much understand that like every girl that is on Instagram in the clubs posting booty pics is trying to live your life. You're not giving them free game on
You're
how to
not.
get them a rich man and live the life that you want to live. So to me, it's just kind of like understand who your audience is and isn't. And maybe honestly, truly, I don't think you should be giving advice
I don't
about
think you should be
anything outside
giving
of like
advice.
aesthetics.
Yeah, I don't think
Outside
that.
of
I think you
aesthetics.
should just tell me how to get my hair real cute
Yeah, like
and where to get the new outfit. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
because
we should be talking about love because I also don't even think, and I think this is an amazing point. I don't think you even have the relationship that you even want, money or not. So essentially, I don't even understand why you're even qualified to talk about anything that would exist in this space. And I know she probably was just talking about would she do it, but honestly, has it been working?
Has it been working?
Maybe
Because
you
I'm
should
like,
date a man that don't make as much money as you because the men that you've
you'd
been
probably
dating have
be
been cheating
happy.
on you.
You probably find some joy.
You
And
might
I'm like,
find
I don't
somebody who
know Miss
cares about your
Girl.
wants and needs.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know her. I don't really pay her much attention. I
Neither do
truly
I.
don't. But I'm just like, whenever I see like, if you are your clout in life comes from who you are dating, and you didn't have a resume prior. I know all the girls like to say they have a business and they had a brand.
Hair care.
And okay, girl, you had an Instagram
I have
page.
a
Like,
online boutique.
like we get it. You started an Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and said you selling whatever
Fashion
you're
Nova
selling.
partner sponsor ad.
But your clout, your money comes from this man. To me, we don't need to hear you speak on much. Like
Yeah, you're a
your life is
girlfriend.
probably very frustrating. Like your
Mm-hmm.
experience is probably a lot. And realistically, as much as people do want the money and the capital that comes with that lifestyle, we don't want everything else. Like
We
the
don't want everything
drama,
else.
the stress, like some of us actually want to live well and be in peace. So that makes us be with someone that makes a little less than us, but we are genuinely happy. We'll take it.
Yeah, and I also feel like even when it comes down to money, and I've said this several times in my life, just even when I'm talking to people throughout, money is something that comes and goes. So right
Hmm.
now, you could be with somebody who's making more or less than you, and in 5 years, it can be a complete inverse of
Exactly.
the opposite, right? Like you could very much be with somebody who is a millionaire in 2024, and then in 2030, 6 years later, they don't have a dime to show for it. Money is not something that is super finite. Very few people have enough money to be wealthy their whole lives.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of what it is, especially with the lifestyle that you're living, buying clothes, bags, shoes, this, that. It requires a person to have to be consistently year over year over year be making exponentially more than what they were making the year before to keep up with the spending. So even then it's like you can marry someone who's making 60, 70,000 dollars a year, and in 5 years they could be making 200,000 because they might have invested some assets. They might be making 500,000. They might have started a business. Like I just think the idea of money is just so finite to people, and it's just something that kind of comes and goes as life happens, right? Like you
Right.
can mess around and get in a lawsuit and all your money's gone. You know what I'm saying? Like people like 50 Cent that filed for bankruptcy like 7 times. He's rich as heck. I'm sure there's been
Right.
years where he's low and down and he ain't got it, and there's years where he's up. I just don't think that that should be the marker. I think you should be trying to be with a man who is ambitious. You should be trying to be with a man who is generous. You're trying to be with a man who is smart with their finances. I think those three matter way
Who treats you
more,
kind?
and who treats you well. But even in terms of like the financial scope, like I think the character of how that person maneuvers around money
Hmm.
makes way more than makes way more of a difference than how much money they got in their pocket right now to this day, because that's fleeting. Not
It's
saying you
very
should go date a
fleeting.
Pookie. Don't go date a Pookie now, but because I'm very much anti funding a man's lifestyle. But I'm just saying, like, there's other things around surrounding money that you could utilize to say this is a good person, and in our future we will be solid and not having to be stressed out about money. But don't date a Pookie.
Definitely don't date a Pookie. But also
Don't
too,
date
it's
no
like
Pookie, child.
even if you're like money, like to your point of money is very fleeting. It's like, yeah, he's buying you a handbag, but you're not with him every day. So he's sending that money out to many other people, which means like he's kind of irresponsible.
And here's my thing, and as a married
Unless you
woman,
can look up his net worth, he's probably irresponsible. Even then, he
responsible.
might be irresponsible. But unless you can Google his net worth and see a number, and he's buying you stuff and you're not really doing nothing to deserve that stuff,
Hello, as a married
what's not
woman,
clicking? Like,
as a married woman, everything changed once I realized this is both our money, child. Because the way I was like, "Oh, go buy me a vacation, go do this, go do that," when
mhm,
then your money was sitting in your bank account. Now that it's both our money, I'm like, there's no such thing as free date, because baby,
I'm
that's
screaming.
in a joint account. So baby, we're both we need to be figuring out if we're going to the Bahamas. let's make this make sense, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
you dating somebody and his money all the way over here and your money, because they no way, even if I was dating a little baby, I would be like, let me see the bank statements, because you just bought me a Hermes bag. What else could we have done with that money? There's never going to be
Right.
a way that I'm just letting you
Because
buy me
how are you
7
charting
Hermes
right
bags.
now? Because what are your songs doing on the charts?
Well, what are you?
How's that
What's
tour
going on with
selling?
your Roth IRA? Are we doing
Are
any investments, or
are we selling merch?
is
How are
this
we?
just mostly what's going on with our stock portfolios? Are we up? Are we
Like
down?
what's coming in? Because I know what's going out, but what's coming
Definitely know
in?
what's going out, but
Like
what's coming in? And so that's just how I feel. I don't think that there is anything as a free lunch. And
I'm
I do think
screaming.
a lot of these girlies are out here promoting this particular lifestyle. Money is very fleeting. I'm sure Jada Wade had $10,000 yesterday and got $2,000 today, or $50,000. It's very fleeting.
And also too, just to wrap up this point and really put it in perspective, it's like Jada Waiter's out here doing press. You ever see Savannah James doing anything? No,
Oop,
she don't have to
oop, oop. Savannah James
because
don't
her
do
money's
nothing.
not fleeting. It's
It's
not
not
leading. She
fleeting.
doesn't. She don't got nothing to sell. Brand.
Nothing.
I exist.
And not even just press, girl. You doing a podcast?
You're doing a podcast
That's
for
not
why?
even press. That's
Because
gross. No, no
screaming.
hate on the podcast, but it's like, girl, you're literally sitting and doing a podcast like me and you, and you're supposed to be rich right now. That's
But you
gross.
can definitely come onto our podcast. We'd love to
We
have you.
would love to have you, and we think that you'd be amazing, and we think that we could really pick your brain because you have so many good thoughts and opinions and ideas.
And we would hopefully get a promo code
Period.
to
Hashtag
give to
Fashion Nova partner,
our lovely listeners as well. Put us on.
because we
Get
are
your people.
sponsored today.
Because you know who doesn't have a good team? Us. We ain't got no team.
We ain't got no publicist.
We ain't got no manager.
You ain't got no man either. We ain't got
like, like that too. So come put us on game. We
put us
ate
on
you up. Come
game.
eat us up.
Come eat and let's get the views. Come on, let's do
like,
this. That's funny.
like
But yes, so speaking of views, right? Our lovely mamas, Miss Victoria Monet, who I'm loving. Speaking of somebody with a good team,
she
I'm
does have a good
loving.
team because she won all
I'm
them
loving her.
Grammys.
I'm loving her. So speaking of Miss Victoria, she met her estranged father. I'm assuming she's never met her father before. She's been looking for
Mhm,
him and has been trying to get in connection with her father. And in the connection with her father, she's done a couple interviews saying that she was actually able to meet him. And my
mhm.
good sis took a picture and told the internet. And the internet does not want to see nobody happy. So why would you
Of
do that?
course.
You should have put
Yeah.
that in your group chat. But after she posted it, she then got a quote tweet from apparently her half sibling.
Mhm,
And in the instance with her half sibling, she went ahead and said she hasn't seen her that same man since
mhm.
she was 3 years old. Put his whole full name on there. And then also said, wow, Victoria Monet is actually my half sibling. What are your thoughts on that interaction? Because I feel like that's kind of wild.
I think that it's unfortunate that some people have that's like it's cute and it's funny to look at like, oh my god, like that's crazy, but that's someone's like real life experience. Like
Yes.
that's probably really difficult to go through and like see, and like especially if like, if you're the girl that like quoted it, like I haven't seen this man since I was 3. She has all the daddy, trauma probably, and daddy issues that go
Daddy
along with that
issues.
rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see him show up because, oh, come to find out my half sister is this celebrity person and he's making time for her. So it kind of like doubles down like, oh, I am not good enough.
Yeah.
I am not
Ooh,
important enough. I am
that's
not
deep.
valuable enough. So I'm like on a real life, like this is someone's real life experience. I'm like, that's
Yes.
probably very intense. So I feel bad for the sister. I mean, honestly, with the Victoria Monet of it all, I mean, I'm happy that she met her dad. I don't know if it's going to, I don't know what she wants from that experience. To
I
me,
don't
it's
really know
like,
what she wants from it.
And I also feel like, to your point, like it could have just been in the group chat, because I'm like, if he has multiple kids that are running around the world, you must have known that someone was going to be like, "Hey, you're my sister." Like, girl, you trying to get people asking you like,
For
"Can I get
money.
some money?" Like,
that would be my first.
like,
That would be my first DM to my
because
sister.
let
Hey
let
sis.
me find out that
Ah!
Victoria Monet is my sister. The way I'd be calling, I know there's a local news station that want to talk to me.
So I found out
Somebody
Victoria
want to
Monet
talk to
is my
me.
sister, and here's my experience with her father. I had an expose.
Like, Grammy Award winning artist Victoria Monet on a sold out tour somewhere.
This is me getting
I'm
ready
getting
for
on
the
TV.
interview.
I'm getting
Apparently,
my influencer. I'm getting my bag. She gonna have to
that's
come
what
and
she
shut.
was trying to do.
She gonna have to send me a NDA, because the way I'm
Absolutely,
talking, like the way I'm
it's
talking all the
crazy.
business, I'm like, anything I know. Yeah, I heard. This is what I heard. Now I can't confirm.
Can't
Like,
confirm, but I
like
think at the end of the day, I think you're right, and I think thanks for bringing the perspective of this is somebody's real life, and it is crazy to be like, hey, I'm willing to meet this Grammy award winning person, but I'm not really willing to meet you. I mean, for me, you know how I am about when it comes to the family stuff. The way I would have never found that daddy ever again in my life, especially after I became famous. One thing about me is you're opening the door for too many people to ask you for money, period, including the daddy.
period.
So for me, it would have been like, if you didn't want to know me when I was not famous, you
Hmm.
absolutely don't have access to me now that I have access to all of these funds, resources, and fame. Absolutely not. So there was absolutely never going to be a way I was going to post that on social
Hmm.
media. Even if I did meet you, there was never going to be a way I was going to post that
Hmm.
anywhere, period. Two, you probably would have never got access to me because I've been looking for you for 27 years or 30 years now. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden I'm you hearing me on the radio, and now all of a sudden we taking pictures together, never happening. So one, I understand the trauma of growing up without a father and wanting to know him and get to know him and figure out who he is. But at the same time, I do think as a somebody who with status and money, you do got to be careful who you invite in your life. It reminds me of I watched Jersey Shore. Nobody hate on me, but I be watching Jersey Shore Family Reunion. One of the
I'm
girls, her name is
screaming.
Angelina. She basically found out that her dad that she thought was her dad was not her dad, and so she had another
Hmm.
dad, and she met him. And so, like, cute, fun. You think that that's a story. Next season, she comes on and is like, he's literally will not stop asking me for money. Like, I've given him money for this, I've given him money for that, I've given him money for this, and it's like she's like, I had to kind of like basically stop like our relationship because he literally would not stop asking me for money for everything that he needed. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, duh, because you're famous. Like,
You're
if he didn't
famous.
want to be, if he didn't want to know you prior, like what? Like, of course he's gonna want to know you now. And them old people, no tea, no shade to older generation, they know how to ask for money. Okay, like
Screaming.
that's a group that
That's
asks
a
for
skill
money.
that they have.
That's a steal. Okay, they be up in there like, can I have, can I have all day. So in my head, I'm like, wouldn't have did it. But to go to and even what you were saying about the sister being like, that must be how I feel. It's like I'm not worthy. It's like she wasn't even worthy, sis. She wasn't worthy until she got
So
some
she
money
got the
on her.
money.
So
No,
I mean,
and that's to me kind of like the weird part about it from like a Victoria Monet angle, because I'm just like, essentially, you were no benefit to this man until you were. And
were
now it's like, I would love to build a relationship with you because you can be beneficial to me when you were a bill, and you were going to take up time that I could spend doing whatever his vice in life was. Because I don't think people that aren't present in their children's lives, there's something that they would rather be doing with that time.
fair.
So it's like, whatever that vice was, you now are a benefit. Like, there is a reason for him to put energy into you, whether it be the clout. Because I know that picture's all over his Facebook. I know, like, it's the clout. It's the, hey, I need, you know, just a little something for this month to cover this
For
month's.
this
If
car
it's
that
to
broke
be at
down,
the party, the housewarming, it whatever it may be, like,
access to the parties, the Grammys.
like, can you introduce me to Stevie Wonder?
Stevie
Like,
Wonder child. He old like
whatever
that.
whatever his dreams and goals are. If like he wanted to be, you know, she can give him access to
The
whatever his
Jay-Z
dream or
Grammy
goal is,
parties and
you
the
know?
yes.
And it's like, to me, I mean, honestly, if I were her, if I was Vicky Monet at this point, like you have the family, you have the child, you have the career success, you have the Grammy, you have the clout. To me, I'd be more interested in meeting my siblings than I would be. And I'm not,
Interested in me.
blaming
That's
her,
fair.
but I would be a little bit more interested in the siblings than the dad at this point because it's like I have this whole family that I didn't know about and I didn't know him either. So it's not as if like he was keeping something from me. Like it's like here's his family I didn't know about. I'd be more interested in them than him if
Yeah,
I was her. But
fair.
people look at family differently. I've realized in my old age that like those wounds lay differently for everyone.
Fair.
So, you know, that's an interesting little situation, actually. When you really, because that's their real life. It's not like this is
It's
like
not
entertainment. It's like
yeah.
that's their real life.
But
But
she brought it to the internet, and that's why I'm saying the internet is where hope,
where now
joy,
it's a meme.
and peace, where hope, joy, and peace go to die. So you should never have done that. If that was something that was sacred and confidential to you, you should have
Hmm.
blurred the face out, like baby girl be blurring that baby face out. But
Like,
I feel like to double click on your point, you said a point where you're like, be careful when you are a bill versus a benefit. I do
hmm
truly believe, I tell people that all the time, especially when it comes to family. When you were younger, and you were a bill, you were a responsibility, you were
hmm
a work, you were a chore, and somebody had to have the responsibility to take care of you, whether that was financially, whether that was emotionally, whether that was just physical presence, and they were not there. Now that you grow up and you have success, whether that's being famous or that's just
hmm
you doing well at work and you being good financially on your own and you might have a little dollar or two to throw somewhere else. Be careful what family you allow back into your life when you are
hmm
now a benefit, because it's easy to think that you're always a burden. In real life, you're now a benefit. There's a reason why they invite you where you to the parties. There's a reason why now they want you to come to the family reunion. There's a reason why now they're calling
hmm
your phone, because it's easy. You've made yourself so palatable and digestible and easy to deal with, because now you don't have anything that you're asking or requiring from anybody. You're just like, hey, I'm here. Do you like me? Of course I like you. You're giving me some money. You're pulling up
Right.
with food. You're pulling up and helping me with my kid. Like, you're doing everything to make you likable. So if you were to go back to being a bill or a burden, they wouldn't even know how to deal with you. They'd be like, hold on, this is not
And
how
I
I wanted
always
you to
say that
operate.
whenever I get people like, because I feel like, I've been blessed to do pretty okay thus far and like my friends as well. But I'm always like, my always thoughts with them when they tell me about like situation with their parents is always kind of just like, I mean, they ain't gonna fall out with you. Do what you want to do. You, you're a benefit to them. Like they're they may be cuckoo for Coco, but they're not dumb.
Not crazy.
Like they're not crazy. They know best case scenario, I need to stay in good standing with you. So they're always gonna find the time to fix it, to make it okay, to make it palatable. Because you're who else gonna take care of them? And you doing
Both
well
of
for
them.
yourself too? Please.
Yeah,
Like I'd
the
be like
whole
with my
family.
parents, love them. They're always gonna make up with me.
The whole family
Like,
dynamics of it all, especially as you grow and become a bit more of a successful adult, where you're able to take care of yourself and you got a little bit of fun to potentially take care of somebody else. It's
mhm.
a weird space to navigate, to go from being somebody that needs to be taken care of to somebody who can now take care of X. And then you just have to have the discernment to figure out, like, who do I really need to take care of in this instance? And typically for me, it's whoever was down and was taking care of
For
me back in the,
me, day
because
ones.
I don't turn new pages with people who didn't do nothing for me back in the day. We can have a regular relationship where there's just a, hey, I want to get to know you, but it's never
Mhm.
going to be, hey, can I borrow $50? Can I have $50? You know that
And the thing is too, was being able to be a benefit also means that I can afford some healing. I can afford to see the lady. And so when I saw the lady, she told
she
me that
said,
you were not needed. Once I forgave myself and healed myself, I realized I actually don't need this conversation. I don't need this relationship. And therefore, no, you cannot have $50.
And the thing about it is, and then you emphasized it, is I don't need it. Would I like it? Am I interested in it being something that I'm interested in? Yes. But do I need for my sibling or parent or whatever to be a part of my life? No, I don't need you
No.
to be a part of my life. I would like you to be part of my life. So once I realize everything that I want in life when it comes to my family dynamics is a want and not a need
Hmm.
anymore, I'm able to navigate the space way easier. I'm able to go, okay, I like this person. I don't like this person. Hey, this person's fun to go to out with and have a funny time with, but hey, they're not coming to my house. You know what I'm saying? Those
Hmm.
things, and put the boundaries in place that you need. I don't know. I think my issue with the Victoria Monet of it all is I don't understand the want for wanting to meet someone who you have that's never been in your life when you specifically are now at the highest peak point of your life,
Of
other than to show them, hey dad, look what you missed out on, I'm amazing. And it just feels very ego driven. But I think, like everything that comes down to ego, there is always going to be like some sort of backlash for that, because whenever you're
mhm.
operating in like super high ego spaces, there's going to be a consequence for the decision that you made. And I think that the consequence is that man going to be like, hey, let me get a couple dollars and let me get it in your life for real and benefit off you. So
And we're also not to heart, but I'm like we're also minimizing like when you said like the peak of her career. It's like you're at a height that most people in life, period, never reach. Like
never.
you have ascended into a area of life that most people will never ascend to. So like not only are you just like, oh, my daughter is a successful doctor or lawyer, it's like my daughter is a star. My daughter is a superstar. She's like, and I wouldn't even say that she is a superstar, but like grand scheme, like if you became a star tomorrow, Maggie, and
I'm
you
a
was on the
super.
radio, you was on the radio and you was nominated for a Grammy. Let's not even say you won. I'd be like, my podcast co-host is a superstar. She's a superstar. Because who the hell you know that did that? She's a superstar. like, like,
Well,
because
I
who
can't
you
sing,
know?
child, so I ain't never gonna be no
Like,
superstar, child. You know, but
we might be child. We could be the new Gail and Oprah. Don't
I
count
think
us
we
out.
could. I think we
Don't count
could.
us
Let's
out.
don't count us out. But yes, so that was some amazing conversation. I definitely enjoyed the substance of it all. I think we had some fun hot takes, and it was really a fun time, child. I had a
It
good
was
time
good.
with
I
you
enjoyed
today with
it.
the little podcast that's trying.
That's trying. Little podcast is trying to keep trutting, child.
You know, honey, the tracks were a little broke. At one point we had to repair the tracks, honey.
We're
Then we
trying
had
to
to
get it to be a benefit, not a bill. Okay.
okay. The wheel got a little squeaky. We had to fix that real quick. And
um,
now, honey, it's smooth sailing over here.
yeah, it's smooth sailing. So y'all keep listening. Don't talk about us being a little late and being a little tardy. You know, we are colored. So you know, that's how we operate on our timing. Um,
Yeah,
so
we're on CPT. So we said when we
yeah,
say weekly, we mean like every about like
we
11, 12
mean
days.
we mean we do mean weekly. It's just that the terms and conditions are a little funny. like,
So that's where
but
we're
we
going
mean
with
it.
it.
But we do
We
mean
mean
it.
it. We do mean it. We are
we
in the group
mean it.
chat trying to film it.
Like, like we do mean it. Like, do
But
we always
yes.
execute it? No.
And it's all about trying your best, A for
Right.
effort.
Have y'all
So
ever tried? You ever
have you
just
ever just
try?
tried?
like, you
We're
ever
giving
just
an A
try?
for effort every time. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But yes, we are so happy that you guys are listening. Like I said, share with a friend, share with a friend of a friend, share with your coworker, just not ours. Okay.
Please.
And
And
please.
I mean for real.
And I mean for real. So your coworker and just not ours. And make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, repost, share. We are so happy that you're listening and we love
And
you so
DM us.
much.
And yes, and DM us what you want us to talk about. If there's certain things that you are interested in hearing our perspective on, if you just want to, you know, talk about your friend, y'all want us to get our opinion on it, let us know that. If it's something in the news y'all want to, we're not going to be talking about them political white
We're
men
not gonna be talking about
too
them old
tough.
man child sitting there
But
arguing
y'all go
child like that.
vote and do the right thing now. But
Period.
that's not our cup of tea per se. But please let us know, you know, what could be great to hear from us. Like we want to hear from y'all. So
Yes. So we will check in with you next week Fingers crossed. And we will chat with you later. Have a
Chat
good
to
one,
you
y'all. Chat
later.
to you later.
Bye.
Bye.